Hey, this is Chad Nesbitt with the Asheville Tribune and the Leicester Leader News. In our ongoing investigation to keep you, the public, informed about who's running for office in Buncombe County, this next candidate made national headlines with these statements.
First off, I would like to see the age for purchase of any firearm raised to 21. I think that we should ban the sale of all high-capacity magazines, handguns, and long guns. I think we need to ban the sale of any mechanism that will allow a firearm to fire in rapid succession. Any weapon that's designed for use by the military, I think we should ban. You've heard people say, "You'll have to pry my gun from my cold dead hands." Okay.
His name is Daryl Fisher. He is a Democrat from Waynesville, North Carolina, and he is proud to tell you he's a Democrat. He currently lives in Black Mountain, and he teaches law enforcement at AB Tech. In our exclusive interview and first video recorded interview since his controversial statements, I found Fisher to be a nice guy. He's straightforward and believes what he is saying. He says he has studied the Constitution and has taught the Constitution, although constitutional scholars and the Supreme Court would disagree with some of his statements, as it is evident in the laws we have now. I also found Fisher to be very, very cautious in how he chose his words. With that said, here is our exclusive interview with Buncombe County Sheriff candidate Daryl Fisher. Let's go to the video. This went national. But let me ask you, you're a Democrat.
Yes, I am.
Why are you a Democrat?
Been a Democrat since the day I turned 18.
Now that makes two of us. I used to be a Democrat and changed to a Republican.
Yeah.
But go ahead, tell us why you're a Democrat.
So that's been my party of choice since I was 18 years old.
Yeah. Any particular reason why?
My values and beliefs mirror theirs.
Okay. So, all right. Some of the things that you see the Democrat Party do with the pink hats and some of the crazy stunts that they do outside as far as protesting. Do you think that kind of undermines the party principles, or do you think you think people look at that and they think, God, their people are crazy? You think anything along those lines, or you appreciate what they're doing?
I don't think it's crazy. I think that what they're doing is they're trying to bring attention to their causes, and sometimes you have to wear a pink hat, I guess, to get attention.
According to the statement on the video, you don't believe that the Founding Fathers meant for the Second Amendment to apply to citizens, but only the military. Is that the way we are to understand that? There
was no military at the time that our country first started. And I have studied the Constitution, and I have taught the Constitution. So the things that I have learned and gleaned from my years of study and experience is that the original intention was for the Second Amendment to make sure that our country would be protected. Since that time, the courts have looked at it, and they've deemed that it is constitutional for people to own firearms. And as long as someone is legal and they are within their rights and they're not out here breaking the law, they're not criminal, the courts have said you can legally own a firearm.
Okay. From your video, you seem to have concerns over a gun permit being valid for 5 years. What would an acceptable amount of time for that permit to be valid? What would you think it would be?
I would also like to see a 14-day waiting period. I think that for a permit to be valid for 14 days would be good. I mean, if folks can legally purchase a firearm, they usually know which one that they're going to purchase, and they usually know where they're going to go. So why keep a permit for 5 years? Because the concern for that is if somebody legally purchased that permit and for whatever reason something happens during that 5-year time frame and they did not purchase a firearm. For example, if they were convicted of a felony, that person could theoretically go buy a firearm without having to go through another background check.
Around the 1350 mark in your video, there seems to be a gap from my understanding, you were talking about that something is not public record, but that not something's not public record, but that denied permits are.
Okay.
So elaborate on that there. So I'm following you on that.
Our current statute states that if you get a carry concealed permit, or if you purchase a permit to buy a firearm, those permits are not public record, but denied permits are. My thinking is, why aren't they all public record? You know, again, I don't make the law. That's just a thought of mine.
Okay. It being your thought, it would be a concern of a lot of people, you being the top law enforcement officer in the county.
Yeah.
And so, like my wife, for instance, has a permit for a gun. And if the criminals out there could see what permits that they've got or that law-abiding citizens have,
right.
You know, if they find out they're on, I'd look on Facebook and I see, they're on vacation. I'm going to go hit their house because I know they got guns there. And how they would know that would be what you were just alluding to, that
right.
Everything would be open and above for people who, law-abiding citizens, to let people know that they have a permit. So what would you say to that?
I can see the concern, and there would probably be just as much opposition as there would be support for that. So that's just a thought of mine.
Okay. At around the 21-minute mark, you applaud a mom's group that says they support a ban on assault weapons. Can you tell me what your definition of an assault weapon is?
Any mechanism that is not for specific hunting purposes, or any item that is built specifically for the military to use.
What about a Colt 40 or a Colt 45? That was a military gun, right?
That's a handgun, right?
Yeah.
The laws are already in the books for those.
Okay. When you talk about long rifles, explain that to me. Are you talking about deer rifles? Are you talking about like a 22? Or, you know, I grew up on a farm with a 22, so I mean.
As did I.
Okay. So would that be considered an assault weapon?
No, that is not. If it is a weapon that is designed for hunting, and you've got your 308s, your 30-06s, you've got your 22s. I'm talking about military grade weapon that fires the ammunition that our military uses.
What happens if a say you got a home invasion, or somebody comes in and they've got an AR-10 or an AR-15 or a shotgun for that matter, and they're coming to get you, and all you've got is a BB gun or a slingshot or even, let's just say, a handgun. Their weaponry is more powerful than yours. What do you say to those people that believe that they should have the same amount of power as a criminal out here would, so that they can defend their home? What do you say to those people? Everybody has a right to defend their home, and if they purchase a firearm legally, they can legally own that firearm. We have the Castle Doctrine in North Carolina that states specifically that you can protect your home, and I think people should be able to protect their homes. But you don't think they should be able to do it with the same type of weaponry that a criminal could get off the street? You know they can get the AR-10 or AR-15. If we were to try to do that, I don't know that we would ever get above what the criminals have. In your video, you spent a long time on carry conceal permit holders and maybe tightening up rules and regulations regarding carry conceal permit holders. Can you tell us, do you know how many of the mass shooters throughout America have a carry concealed permit license? I have no idea. Okay. You said that in a common law, carrying an unusual rifle in fear of the public is a crime, and that the courts already ruled that any gun is an unusual gun, and you would be considering guns being carried out in open to be breaking the law. Can you elaborate on that? Why would be carrying a gun out in the open be breaking the law? There is a common law statute called going armed to the terror of the public. Folks have been charged with that. Specifically, if someone is in fear for their safety, then they have a right to call law enforcement, and law enforcement has the responsibility to investigate. If during the investigation it is determined that the individual has that weapon and that it is in violation of this common law offense, a charge might be appropriate. Would you, as the long-armed sheriff of the land here, would you institute that a lot? If, like say, for instance, I don't have a carry conceal. Right. All right, so... but my grandfather's in the convenience store business. So at nighttime, I grab the pistol, I take it down there, and I put it on the side. Right. Okay, so I'm just letting everybody know that they can see that. Right. And I'm getting ready to close this store, and I've got money on the table here, and I'm getting ready to count it up, and we're going to go home for the night. So would that be? I mean, am I going to get in trouble just because I've got a weapon on my side where you can see it visibly? No, because you're on private property. You are in a business that's owned by your, was it father, grandfather? Grandfather, yeah. So, yeah, you've got every right to help your grandfather protect the property. Okay, I eat breakfast every morning at Bojangles on Patton Avenue. And there's a big round table of veterans there. Every one of them are carrying where you can see it. Yeah. They don't own Bojangles,
right?
But everybody can see that they've got a weapon. Would they get in trouble for doing that?
As far as I know, nobody's called from Bojangles.
Okay, so it just has to be a call.
When somebody calls, an investigation has to be conducted, but it doesn't mean that there's going to be a charge.
Okay,
but
you know how you know how it is nowadays. I mean, so would somebody?
That's been my experience.
Okay,
and I have answered these type calls. Folks going into Walmart, folks going in wherever, they've got a gun in their holster, a gun on their hip.
Okay,
I approach them, say, "Sir, ma'am, whoever the case may be, we've got a complaint that you're walking through Walmart with a sidearm on your hip," and there it is. Do you have a carry concealed permit? The answer is no, we do not. Okay. Well, just make sure that you leave that weapon in your holster. Now, what I may do is I may check to make sure it's not stolen. I may do a couple other checks to make sure that, you know, they're not a felon and they're possessing a firearm.
Can you constitutionally do that?
I can ask them, absolutely.
And if they refuse, does that constitute an arrest or anything?
No, we'll just ask them to leave the store.
Leave the store.
Correct.
Okay. You advocate a ban on high-capacity magazines.
Yes.
What constitutes a high-capacity magazine? How many rounds?
If the magazine does not fit in the weapon as it's designed, especially handguns, that's high capacity in my mind.
At the point in the video that caused so much controversy, afterward you seem to advocate taking a gun owner's guns away after they have passed away. Is that what you mean by that?
No, that is not true.
All right. So
in fact,
what do you mean?
I prefaced that statement by saying, don't buy into the scare tactics. This is what some people will say. And then I went on to explain that there are statutes on the books, and the courts have ruled that it is unconstitutional for the government or any government agent to come and take away somebody's weapon who has legally purchased it, and they are a responsible person. That part was conveniently left out of the onslaught that I received.
After Fisher's controversial statements, he took a lot of heat in the media. Buncombe County Republican Party Chairman Carl Mumpower said he knew Daryl Fisher and found him to be a nice and funny guy, but believed he was pandering to a liberal crowd. At the end of the interview, I asked Fisher if he was pandering to a liberal crowd when he made his controversial statements, and he said no, that he believed what he was saying. Our next candidate investigation is none other than Democrat North Carolina Senator Terry Van Dyne. For the Leicester Leader and the Asheville Tribune, I'm Chad Nesbitt, and we thank you.